Just saying.
There we go.
Bert just willed it. He can send his waves over to those.
Teresa does it. Teresa does it, don't worry.
Good evening. This is the Bolton Board of Selectmen meeting on Thursday, October 23rd. We want to start on sort of a somber note. To express our deepest sympathies to the family of Don Soar, who passed away quite unexpectedly last Saturday. He was only 51. Don had worked for the Bolton DPW for the last 7 years. He was devoted to his family and friends, and he'll be missed by the entire town. Our thoughts and prayers go out to his wife Nancy, as well as the entire Soar and Cushman families. The first item on our agenda tonight is an update from Economic Development regarding goals, membership, and the wreath program.
So hello. I'm Demmer and Eric Nealon. Okay, so let's talk about, we'll do the goals first. We're planning on sticking with our intended mission that we've had over the past couple years, trying to be promoting Bolton business, basically. That's our #1 goal. Helping the existing businesses that are in town, as well as hoping to attract new businesses. Our events, we already had one at the old Delta Equity, Bolton Capital. I always get confused, Ray Grenier's company. We invited multiple businesses. It was a real success. They enjoyed it, and there's actually a desire for more events like that, so businesses can get together and socialize and really find out what's going on in town. So that was really helpful. And then we have the marketing aspect, which Eric does.
Yeah, so I mean, just saying what Helene said, I mean, we're really working on the kind of shop local type feel. So I mean, like we have our Facebook page, which is Destination Bolton. If anybody wants to like it, we have right now about 160 likes. But for instance, I put up a post 2 days ago about the town common, and we had 800 views of it. So I mean, we're starting to really build up a good following. And I know the Clinton item follows it, so sometimes they share our stuff. So we're starting to get a lot of eyes on it. So we're trying to connect with all the businesses and say, we have this tool here where, you know, you can use us to spread word about your business. I know we've done stuff with Fotini's and stuff like that. So we're really trying, you know, in Bolton, we don't want big box stores, we want small businesses. So if you want small businesses, you need to support them. And so we're really trying to drive people in Bolton to support their businesses. We also want to connect up with, say, Harvard and Stowe, and just try to, you know, create sort of like a regional type thing, you know, get some of their people to see our businesses where we'll see their businesses and stuff like that.
As well as Bolton Local, which we have reached out to, because the topic of shop being local is really what we're trying to do, just that it happens to be more business focused. So to me, whether you're a farm or anything, there's really a lot of synergy there. So supposedly they're supposed to be talking about it at their next meeting, which I believe was either November 8th, about trying to be more synergistic with the Economic Development Committee. So we really hope that goes forward. We have $1,000 to spend this year in our budget, and we hope to put a pamphlet together to use the money that way, that we can hand out at different events and really attract people to Bolton, as well as existing businesses to know that there's a resource for them.
Yeah, when we were talking about, it's kind of like a trifold brochure where you go into a town, you go to like a tourist kind of booth, you can open it up and maybe have like, you know, a cartoony-ish type map with where some restaurants are, or, you know, even like trails or different type of businesses. So and so, like for instance, we're not doing this because we don't have it, but with the Halloween parade coming up, we could, you know, hand it out there. Just show up to events where we can try to, you know, say, hey, these are the businesses in Bolton, we can promote it, and like the 5K rally this summer, stuff like that. So we wanted, you know, that was one thing we wanted to spend the money on, is to create a really slick looking brochure that would promote the businesses in town and to have them on hand.
So given that, we started off with 11 people. We came to request a reduction to 9. we had a request to put in the local newspapers to try to attract new members. We're having a difficult time. We have one potential member who reached out. I think we ran the ad for 4 weeks, Linda?
At least.
4 weeks.
Yes.
So we had one hit. I spent time with him on the phone. He's coming to our meeting in 2 weeks. He seemed to be very interested. I don't want to review his name because he might not want to come, but he happens to be a contractor. So he's very interested. So I'm very hopeful in that.
Okay.
So I don't know whether to request the reduction right now or maybe to wait another 4 weeks. But the goal would be, right now, to have a quorum, we need 5. So we have 9 people, 5, and sometimes that's really tough on us. So if, I'm thinking that maybe 7 might be a good amount, but let's maybe wait another 4 weeks, to run the ad another 4 weeks, see if this new gentleman comes on. I have a name of a realtor that I'm reaching out to. She actually gave me her card. So I'm going to reach out to her and see whether she can come. And see whether the next topic might actually draw some excitement to town. So just wanted to lay the groundwork on the people.
Before you get to your next topic, where does economic development sort of feel its role is on, say, new development or permitting? I mean, we were all at the meeting at the planning board on Clinton Savings Bank. Obviously Eric was there too, and so you've got someone on the inside, but it seemed as though the applicant there was, I think, pretty reasonably frustrated, and part of it was the nature of the way they were approaching it. They needed variances, they needed special ZBA permits, they needed special planning board permits, but it seemed as though there was a lot of bureaucracy in Bolton for a pretty straightforward project, and it struck me as the sort of thing that economic development could be in the audience saying, hey, this is the sort of development we want in Bolton. You're taking an older home and turning it into a nice structure. So I guess where do you sort of see yourselves on that?
Well, that's really an interesting topic because when we first started out and we had the website, we put up the website, part of the website was to try to get through that craziness, bureaucracy, or confusion. And part of the website was, okay, a new business, here are the steps that you have to go through. Boom, 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 boom. So it's really interesting. So we kind of have taken more of a view, more of a marketing view, but it would be great, because I know right before Frank Patterson purchased the salt box, we actually talked to him. So it'd be great to have the financial development program, dating myself, the economic development committee, to actually have more of an interaction with business. We would love that. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, I'm saying, I mean, to the extent, if you identify, if someone who's already in the process and is going through, but to say, another voice to say, this is the sort of development we want in Bolton, and let's sort of push this forward.
Sort of supporting them.
Yeah.
We had, it would be very interesting, because we had tried to kind of set up on the website exactly what we thought businesses had to go through. Are we talking two different things here? Versus, you're talking about I'm talking about the process.
No, I don't think I was talking about the process. I think it's
More of an advocate?
more being an advocate and a support organization for a business, and Larry uses Clinton Savings Bank, where that was a bit of a convoluted, difficult process for a business to move pretty much right across.
No, I agree. I think that the EDC should get involved in that, but I kind of feel like maybe we felt more like we're on the outside looking in at a lot of those things. Like we weren't really.
Well, we would have known about it.
The only way the EDC learns about things happening is for me from the planning board now. I know that there, like I'm sure Clinton Savings Banks had a lot of meetings with Don, or I just.
They didn't have any meetings with me.
Erica, though.
Maybe as Erica comes more up to speed.
Yeah.
I would love to go talk to somebody that's wanting to come do business in Bolton.
Yeah.
And kind of hold their hand.
Well, I know Chris, the former chairman of the EDC, was involved with Paragon.
Well, and we went over to Paragon, or whoever took over Future, trying to remember. But we have done some outreach to businesses. We would love to do that. The question is, how do we do that? You know, that would be something, we'd love to help a business wanting to come in town.
Yeah, I mean, we've just been trying to kind of do what we know we can do, and we do have maybe 3 very active people.
We need more members.
Yeah, we have like 3 very active people. and-
But,
Yeah, I mean, I think to Larry's point, I mean, you know, for Clinton Savings Bank, it might have been just sending a letter to the planning board saying, you know, that you know, that they'd be, that from your point of view, they'd be a good fit in town, and that they, you know, they're not a
And
good,
traffic
they're
agents,
not
they're not gonna
a
go-
good addition, but they're, you know, but they're.
A good continued fit.
They're a good
Because they're already
person
here.
in town, and they're.
I mean, that would be a great goal, is to take a more advocacy role for business that are having trouble in town, or to take positions. I have no trouble taking a position.
Well, I think maybe, you know, maybe a longer term kind of thing is not necessarily if a business comes to Bolton saying, we'd like to possibly relocate here. But, you know, you've got the Skinner property, which is still up on the market. You've got, you know, Bolton Office Park, Condyne, which has
a new project that's on the
Yeah.
road. How do you feel about that?
But their office building is kind of empty.
Right.
You know, and they're looking at some options.
And we did, and just don't even mention Skinner, because we actually have we actively tried to promote that. So we have tried to do, I'm just sensitive about that one.
Well, and when Jennifer was here, she always sent us, I forget what database she was tied into, but people looking for certain square feet and stuff like that. She sent us those business names for open space, and she was actually sending us like worksheets on what open space it is. I think maybe Erica's still kind of getting into the role of things, but I think,
Erica gets those notices, I just don't think she's made the connection to forward them on to the EDC.
yeah. So I guess we would like to be involved in that, and
That'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, so for the wreath project, we have total approval from Verizon and National Grid. We can put up wreaths on our poles in perpetuity, so that's good. We would like to move forward with purchasing the wreaths. Bruce Slater has gotten a couple quotes, and we have a price of the wreath, the price of the bill. Harold Brown has not totally committed to hanging the wreaths for us, but we're looking for some help just to make Harold feel that it's okay to help us out. Mike Murphy was very concerned about somebody other than the town hanging the wreaths. That was the original idea, that we would hang the wreaths, and Mike was really concerned about it.
What's his concern?
His insurance liability.
Why would Mike have insurance liability?
No,
He's speaking in terms of an insurance.
As an insurance professional, he
Yes.
saw problems with individuals putting it up, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
But they're not-
Because I think if he saw the way that the DPW puts up flags, he might be concerned
But
about
they're
that
not
too.
town-owned poles.
Yeah.
So if they're not our poles, I don't understand where the liability is.
No.
Okay, so maybe we could table that, and you and I can talk about that. If you don't think Harold is a good choice to hang in the wreaths, then...
Well, what's the work, why don't you explain what's,
Okay.
I mean,
So
what's
we-
the exact reason, what's the work involved in
Okay,
hanging?
so we were going off Charlestown's method of hanging the wreaths, and they used a very large plastic tie. So we were also looking to Harold for his expertise in somebody helping us, advise us for exactly how we would attach the wreath to each pole, which we have not secured the final procedure to do that. So if we go with Charlestown method, it was a large plastic tie, and we haven't worked out the detail. Do we do one on the top? Do we do one on the bottom? Is it better to nail it down? So we still have that aspect to hammer out. So we were also looking if Harold could help us understand how we could, should we purchase a bracket? That's an idea, purchase a bracket.
How the wreath's gonna be oriented?
They are going to, because we're not sure how many, if the pole is standing, it would be on the pole facing the road.
Then they won't see them until they're right on the pole, when the driver's coming up.
The issue's gonna be how many, how many poles, how many wreaths do you do?
No, my point is if you do them perpendicular to the road, then the number of wreaths is irrelevant. I mean, it's, people will see them on the drive up as opposed to.
Right, so but then we're gonna need some sort of other bracket device to hang the wreaths. So that's gonna be an investment. We're gonna have to, procure it and hang that. Somebody could help us with, that's why we're looking to maybe Harold could have a suggestion. We know that there's a bracket up there for the flags, can you utilize that bracket? I don't know the answer to that. So we're actually looking for some advice for exactly how do we hang the pole? How do we hang the wreath to the pole? Right now, the unit cost of just the wreath itself, depending upon whether we go with this is an exterior dimension, whether we go with the 22, 24, 26-inch wreath will depend whether the cost of the wreath is anywhere from $4.83 to $6.83 a wreath. Then we add the bow and some sort of miscellaneous expense, i.e. bracket, tie. We're looking anywhere from, I'm gonna hedge, anywhere from $11 to $15. So the question becomes, once we decide how to hang that, which, within a week, we're smart people, we can come up with the solution to that, is how much do we charge the businesses? Do we charge just cost, or do we put a buffer on so then we can have some sort of, I don't want to say profit because we're not making a profit, but it is some sort of excess over and beyond cost that we can keep into account and use for future years. So, and then we would also have, because we want to make this a sustainable project, something that's repeatable for future generations, that the money would come into the town of Bolton, make it attention town planner. So the real issue is, number one, which size wreath we're going to do, which we're going to decide tomorrow. I'm going to do the count of the poles, which I'm doing tomorrow, and then we'll know which one we're going to order, and then we need to decide how we're going to hang it, who's going to help us hang it. So those are our outstanding items. But does the town of Bolton feel okay that we have businesses make a check out to the town of Bolton payable Bolton Town Planner memo item wreaths?
Made out to the town of Bolton.
Is that what you suggested?
Yes, made out to the town of Bolton, they can be sent in to Eric.
Attention town planner, and put a memo item wreaths.
And we can do that.
Yep.
When she said payable town planner,
I thought,
confused.
that's what I thought.
Was that Erica's idea?
I'm sorry. Checks we made out to the town of Bolton.
Attention, Eric.
A town of Bolton, attention town planner, and put a memo item wreaths.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. I don't see a problem with that. We've talked to Julie about how we can deal with that, so
Yeah.
I don't see that as a problem.
And do you have an opinion on whether we just charge costs or something above, like somewhere between, $10 to $15 above the cost?
I guess the question would be, what would the extra money go towards? You say sustainability, but sustainability of what?
Right, I mean, I have no problem charging cost, and that would be, each business could sponsor a wreath for whatever the final cost comes out to be, which is probably gonna be somewhere about $15. Maybe, if we decide, let's say we decide to use a bracket, let's just say, maybe a bracket breaks, maybe we try to augment the bracket next year, it gives us some leeway into having some sort of cushion that we're able to make some modifications.
So you're talking about real wreaths, not artificial wreaths, correct?
I'm talking about real wreaths. They seemed rather inexpensive from the cost being, unit cost being $4.83 to $6.83.
So the wreaths will need to be replaced every year. The
Yes.
bows can carry over from year to year, but there's gonna be some wear and tear on them, so you're gonna wanna replace some of the bows.
Yeah, and, and this is the kind of thing that, who knows, maybe a couple years down the line, we become smarter, we say, hey, we had enough of these, real wreaths, let's turn to artificial wreaths. Maybe we go with that.
Yep.
You know, the other thing was also engaging the businesses. That was the original intent.
Yeah, just in case people haven't heard, I mean, who's listening, the overall goal of this is kind of connecting, each wreath was gonna be donated by a business, and it was to connect the businesses to the community. It's, you know, kind of a good feeling, you know, and we were hoping to put an article in, you know, whatever, the paper, or wherever we can get the names out saying, hey, this wreath was, you know, these been donated by these particular businesses.
As I said last year when you folks were in, I have an unusual amount of Christmas wreaths hanging experience because when I was hired in Clinton, one of the first surprises I was handed was, guess what, you're responsible for getting wreaths back up the whole length of the downtown area, and the fundraising and the hanging thereof, so, you know,
So what kind of bracket did you guys use?
we used metal brackets with metal strapping, and we used artificial wreaths. And we hung them with a bucket truck for safety purposes.
I mean, we certainly could get a quote on that, you
I mean,
know.
maybe for this year, I mean, as you said, for this year, maybe
Yeah.
we want to go with the real wreaths.
Yeah, we want to get this program off because it's a little bit embarrassing. I tend to be, usually when I do something, it gets implemented. So for me, last year, coming to you and getting the approval and not having the wreaths put up, to me, was a major failure on my part because that's something I don't do.
I don't think we knew all the paperwork involved though.
I mean, Verizon, who
Yeah, for the
knew?
utilities, you didn't count on the...
I had no experience. I had more experience in business. I had no idea.
What you will, I'm just kind of thinking off the top of my head here, but what you're probably going to want to do, you're probably going to want to get the larger wreaths, and you're probably going to want to get the 26-inch wreaths to make them as visible as possible for people driving 30 miles an hour who never break the speed limit,
Right.
and you can still see them. I'd have to see how they look when they're shaped like, you know, in that dimension, but you're probably going to want, I would guess, 2 straps, as you said, one near the top, one near the bottom of the circle. But I would think you're certainly going to want to orient them perpendicular to the road, because if you have them flush to the pole, as I said, there's going to be no drive-up view. No one's going to be able to see them as they're driving down the road. And by the time they get to the pole, they're watching where they're going. They're not looking at the pole. So
That's true.
So they aren't going to get the view as they come.
So
down
they
the
say,
road.
would there be one on either side of the pole?
No,
potentially?
no. I would say we centered on the pole,
Yeah.
perpendicular to the pole on the road.
So does that bracket stay up year-round?
Okay.
No.
So they took those brackets down?
And as we did it year after year, we got so good at it that, well, I should say we, but the person that we hired who had the bucket truck, you know, the first year it took longer because it was the first time they were working with the equipment. And we would do the put up right before Thanksgiving, so they would be up for Thanksgiving weekend, and we would take them down right after New Year's.
That's, yeah.
And we would take the hardware down as well, and we stored them in the basement of the town hall.
Okay, so maybe you and I can talk tomorrow.
Sure.
And maybe you can give me the specifications of the bracket, and we can just go out and price them. And then we would just build that into the price of the wreaths.
Sure.
At least for this year.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably, right, exactly right, we don't have to solve it here, but that's kind of, those would be my suggestions.
Okay. But
What's your season? When are you hoping to get these up?
I would like to get them up the week right after Thanksgiving, because they are real, and it is, you know, 4 weeks.
I think
And
that
actually-
makes sense. Don't push the season too much.
Right, and then take them down New Year's, or whatever. You know, if Harold could help us, that would be great. If he can't, then, you know, I'm sure that we can work out something. But Mike Murphy did go to talk to him, and he wanted to make sure that this was a blessed activity via the Board of Selectmen.
Are there going to be, are the sponsors going to have a sign on the wreath, or it's only?
We weren't
Not
gonna do
this
that.
year.
We weren't gonna bother, we just wanted it to be just a nice
Okay.
wreath and then get the name out other places.
Now,
Okay.
if you
Because
drive,
that one hit the drive-through, people said, oh, yeah, I hadn't heard about that restaurant.
I
Yeah.
mean, I love that
So-
idea. I love that idea, and we have talked about that, especially when you go through Littleton now,
Yeah.
and you see the 2 brackets that they have set up, and they're celebrating their 300th, and they have sponsorship of not only businesses, but of individual families.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, that is a vision that we have.
And you could do the same type of concept in the nice weather with banners, and then a little thing at the bottom of the banner that says, you
Yeah.
know,
Maybe we should just talk right after, or tomorrow, or even Monday, just to really hammer out how we're gonna hang these wreaths.
Yeah, we just wanted to get them up and get the people names out, and then maybe in future years, figure out.
I would love to have a flag,
Yeah.
banner thing.
I have a concern about the DPW doing it because they don't have a bucket truck, and
I think there's some tree people in town who you might be able to.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
I have some thoughts about how we could get some in-kind labor done without
it.
utilizing the DPW, so I'm
Okay,
not just trying to dump it, I'm just thinking maybe we have different resources.
okay, great.
So tree companies, tree removal companies?
Yeah, they do it off, yeah, I mean, they have the bucket trucks,
But
yeah.
the major thing is that you're okay with it going, the checks being made out to the town of Bolton, attention
Yes.
town planner, memo the wreaths.
Yep.
And then we can talk about, are you comfortable with it being more than cost? That's something, since we're not.
Well, I mean, if it's more than cost, it just turns into free cash, right? I mean, it doesn't, we don't have a fund, we don't have a separate, or do we have to talk to Julie to set up a separate?
No, we've talked to Julie
We've
about it.
talked to Julie, and this would be a separate.
Okay, all right.
So it
So
would be
it
to
could-
maintain, going forward, if there's
Yeah,
brackets
well, it
that
seems
broke
to me, I
or
mean,
whatever.
$15 would be seem
brackets
very low, and so I don't think it'd be
Yeah, just round it
unreasonable
up to
to say
20.
30 or,
No, I don't think it's unreasonable at all, I just think that, we'd have to be able to say it's going towards future,
Right.
Yeah.
whether it's
No,
future
it's
general
also
economic
fun.
development
Yeah.
endeavors or whatever, but,
yeah.
sure.
Or future wreath projects, or future, even if we could use it for implementing a banner in the future, I think
Yeah,
that's a great
economic development
idea.
related.
Yeah, I love that, yeah,
Yep.
versus just saying the wreaths.
Right.
Or even just putting a banner about here, the wreaths this year brought to you by, and all the sponsors.
Yeah.
Anything
something-
related to that,
So, yeah.
I think it would have to be.
But I think that would at least give people the,
Yeah,
Right.
it's not just something, it's not something the town did.
yeah.
It's, these are being
Yeah.
sponsored by people and
Yeah, we think we
and
could,
businesses that want some advertising.
yeah, we could scroll the businesses on Batco and maybe get it into, the
Bolton
Bolton.
Access TV.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, we did that's okay. We did the thing last year with the small business, shop local,
Yeah.
where we
Yes.
had different businesses flashing
we
by.
suppl- well, which
And we
we
could
supplied
probably
the
put
list.
together a thank you to the
Yeah.
businesses that put up wreaths and have the businesses
Yeah.
flashing by.
That would be great.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
give, a banner out in front or something that would keep the name, get the names out to people.
And that costs like
Driving through.
$200.
Well,
So
I mean, that's
would
part of your.
Actually, that's a great
your
idea.
access.
Yeah, and if we
As
have,
opposed to doing a plaque for each one or something that would.
Well, yeah,
Actually,
we were
cost
thinking of it,
there,
that we're
too,
like,
so-
you have to be like right there to see it, and,
could do that
Yeah.
in addition to.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
Great.
right,
Okay,
thank you.
so we'll
Give me a
follow
call,
up.
yep. Be in tomorrow morning, certainly be in Monday. so.
Yes, and Lisa and I are counting the polls tomorrow at 9. So if anybody wants to join us, feel free.
I should do an independent audit.
The next item on our agenda is the town administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and first, under the town administrator's report, is an update on the solar RFP that the now former Energy Committee had been working on for some time, and the two stalwarts remaining, Ted Kirchner and Bert Schnitzel, are here tonight to give us a
Survivors. Have a handout here.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
We have 3 charts, and we can run through the status, the RFP overview, and request an authorization to go forward. On the status page, the final Energy Committee activity was to create the RFP for leasing land for the solar facility. We explored other things, own the whole thing and be an energy producing entity, but we decided that the cleanest thing for the town and simplest and accept the least amount of risk was just own the land, lease it. Bolton's council reviewed the RFP. We're currently at the stage of requesting a green light from the select board to issue it. And then the overview of the RFP, it'll be posted on the central register. It offers to lease the landfill land and/or 11 acres contiguous to that. And it's very likely the 11 acres would be the option because of the contour of the landfill, but we'll find out.
Where are the 11 acres that are near the landfill?
If you're facing the landfill, it would be to the left and behind that very colonial house on it's woods. It's
okay.
It's
So they have to be,
They have to clear the land.
clear-
clear the
right.
land.
And
Okay.
we even calculated for those who are interested in CO2, if you have trees consuming CO2, making oxygen, or you have solar, which eliminates burning a fossil fuel, which is the better deal, and it's better to cut down the trees and put the solar out.
Now, where is the lake?
If you're facing the landfill, and it's to the left of it.
I happen to have.
Oh, if I'm on Forbush?
To the left.
Are you saying it improves our carbon footprint to cut down the trees?
Here is, well, you're gonna see this better right side up. Here's the road, okay, here's the capped landfill,
Mm-hmm.
and here would be the 11 acres.
And that's the
This is the
house.
gas line, and this is the house.
Oh, how-
Who's that? Whose house is that?
Well, they're not necessarily like that.
There is language that, you have to follow all the town setbacks and, that sort of thing.
I know, but they weren't too happy with the cell tower that went up. So,
There'll be opportunities for lesser review, and
All right.
there are all
Okay.
kinds of permits.
So your sense though is that our capped landfill, because it's on a slope, would present a problem? 'Cause I thought these things, they just put them, it's like on a couple of concrete blocks.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, they put them on, they call them sleepers or kind of, and there's a whole publication by the state on building on landfills. And you have to build on one that's got some age, so the settling has occurred,
right.
and you're not entering into problems there. It presents problems with motive equipment, you have to be very careful because there's a membrane under that soil. And to the best of our knowledge, it sort of has a south exposure, which may be good.
Yeah.
But we're not experts, so it's going to depend on the capital investment and the closeness to three-phase power and the amount of subsidies they can get, and all that's going to make it a deal or not deal.
I mean, we're simply putting this out to bid and offering this land for somebody to bid on if possible.
See what they
Many
come up
people
with.
will bid on it, maybe nobody will bid on it. We don't know, but we have to be able to go out with the RFP in order to find
makes
that
sense.
out. We did do some, we did speak informally with the Board of Health, who felt as long as it was sitting on the surface, sitting on blocks, the way that they tend to do these things, it wouldn't be a problem. We couldn't hear.
Just put them on the roof and.
We can put it on the roof.
I spoke with DEP about it,
More and more
and
people are
DEP
doing
checked
that.
our file, and we're fine as far as they're concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to depend upon the bidders.
Right.
As to what will actually happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's,
And that's why we say proposals, if any, will offer. By example, lease payments to the town, and there are really a couple components of that with going into those details. Payment in lieu of taxes. Now, this is a payment lower than taxes, and we will do our best to keep that as high as possible. But that's the kind of the norm. That's what all our competitive sites are offering. This pilot. We're also saying, separate from the deal, which we may or may not be interested in, make us an offer to purchase power. So a power purchase agreement with net metering. So we'll see if that is attractive or not. And the Energy Committee we have no estimate of potential revenue. We could do a pro forma, but if we put something out in the public record, we'd really start negotiating by saying, these are numbers that we'd be
Hey,
looking
how
for.
does, the power purchase agreement, would that be so the town would actually buy the electricity from this?
Well, the electricity is these little electrons out of the water.
They're all interchangeable.
Theory,
Yeah.
yes, in theory, yes.
How much, what's our electric consumption in the town? And how big a field do you need to do that?
That's, we're smaller probably than you'll produce. It depends on a cold winter day versus a summer day, and I don't know those numbers.
But 11 acres is probably more than enough to supply the town.
Oh, yes, it is. I mean, just, if we didn't do the 11 acres, if we just did the landfill, I think that would be approximately, if I remember right, of 1 megawatt.
I think it was 1.4.
1.4, and we consume, I'm not even sure we consume annually. No, I'm positive we don't consume enough.
600.
That's right.
600,000?
600,000 kilowatts, right.
So,
So there would certainly be excess capacity.
right.
Last page, asking the select board for authorization we want to update the RFP with current issue date, current pre-bid and site visit information dates, submittal date, preliminary award dates, all those things. This would come before the town meeting in 2015. We would like authorization to consult council as necessary, because when you read this we'll be looking at it rather fresh, because we've completed this a few months ago. We may have more questions. Post the RFP on the central register, and then since the energy committee is kind of dormant, it's expired, it's terminated, we're asking that you authorize Dawn to appoint a selection committee, of which Bert and I will be two of the volunteers, and that way we're official capacity representing the town going forward.
At some point there would talk about other sites, but you're now focusing on the land.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, no, I think that makes sense.
A grand plan at one time to
Yeah, we were looking at, I think, 4 different
Four
sites,
sites
but
at one time.
they all presented various issues, which we were having enough trouble getting. The one site out, that seemed to be the simplest issue, because the town owned it, we were able to deal with it. We were talking about sites at the school, which presented its own.
And then if you get this one through, then, you can look at the other.
Right, I absolutely support that strategy. I think we can use this as a learning experience, and then if we do have other opportunities, we could pursue them then.
The sites are still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I think as Stan points out, there could be some controversy associated with the contiguous acreage, but let's see if anybody has interest before we...
As we said, it's a matter of, it is the capped landfill, the potential of that second, essentially a second lot, which is the continuous, but...
I mean, you could even just sort of go in there a little bit, expand the whole thing if the landfill
wouldn't be
will
all-
work. Yeah.
It's not an all or nothing. We're waiting for the bidders to come back to us and tell us what they want to do.
No, this makes sense.
What makes sense to them.
My estimate would be like 5 acres.
Yeah.
I know Carlson Orchards is 2.5 acres, and they're about a megawatt, I think.
Now, and the adjacent facility at Bolton Orchards, they're talking about expanding that, right? They're gonna come in with then something else.
Yes, they are.
And they're already paying on the pilot. I mean,
Yes.
negotiate that pilot agreement with that facility. All right.
Well, we know a fair amount about the cash flow that the proponent would get, and we will negotiate aggressively to get our share in that opportunity. I mean,
Okay.
these people make out very well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Sounds good. Works.
Yeah.
Do we have a green light?
No?
Yeah, no, I don't know about Don appointing selection committee. I mean, we could appoint the selection committee, right?
Okay, somebody.
Yeah.
No, I think it's best that the board appoint the selection committee.
Yeah, but no, I think it absolutely makes sense to go forward with the RFP, and it's sort of good timing with the May
We
town
want to
meeting.
aim for that,
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain I'll have to put this up on the central register, because I have access to it, and I don't think
No, that's no problem.
I'll need to do that for you.
This is a team effort.
Yep.
Yeah.
We will not
All right.
Yeah.
Motion away.
Select board will appoint the selection committee.
Do we want do we just want free access to council, or do we want it to go through?
It should go through me.
Yeah, done.
Okay, yeah, I just want to.
No, it's good, that's what we want to know.
Yep. Okay, I will move that we authorize the RFP to be issued with, I guess, request for town council to go through the town administrator, and the selectmen will be appointing the selection committee when needed.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, very much. Well, thank you as the residual energy committee.
This time I came up and it didn't cost you a cent.
That's right. Didn't cost us 16 grand tonight. That's great. I feel so much better, bro.
Actually, the deal I have with town council, with both councils, they can take calls from anyone they want, but if I haven't approved it, they don't get paid. Which actually happened once. Okay, next on my report, just to make sure everyone is aware of the fact that we have the Veterans Brunch is coming up on November 9th, which is the Sunday before Veterans Day. When we did it last year, for the first time, it was a byproduct of the 275th celebration, and it was such a popular event that folks would like to see it maintained. And Linda has helped pull folks together. There was a meeting as recently as today.
We addressed 185 envelopes, so last year I think we had a response of like 85, but so I'm hoping, for the same or even more this year.
It was very well received. At the brunch is at 11:30. At 10 a.m. there'll be an ecumenical service at the church, starting at 10 a.m. All are welcome to attend. And right after brunch, right after church or shortly after church, then there'll be the brunch. So I think it's going to be a great event. Anything we can do for our veterans is wonderful.
I sent you all an invitation today, so I hope that you can all make it and join the veterans.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next on Minuteman, I'm not going to present the following charts, but
Oh, yes.
It looks like a culture.
it is a culture.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of work being done on the schematics right now, but the update that we got at Monday's building committee meeting was, the design concept is that the future school would be boiled down into 2 academies. One would be engineering, construction, and trades, and the other one would be life sciences and services. And then the 3 options that they'll be producing will be one for an entirely new building, which would be 272,578 square feet. One would be, the next option would be a renovation of the existing building with an addition. So there'd be demolition and addition. The first approach had 268,110 square feet. We may stray from that because that crossed the town line into Lincoln, and it complicates permitting and the like, so we'd kind of like to keep the entire footprint in one town. So if we go in the other direction, I think it's still the same square footage, it is still the same square footage, just heading in an opposite direction. And then the final, which would be total renovation of the existing building, is 307,877 square feet. And there's no price tags associated with that yet, but those 3 options are being looked at. The colors represent different curriculum. It's nowhere near as bad an eye chart as you think once you look at it up close, but it's fairly intimidating when you look at it from a distance. So, but progress is being made actually very quickly. And we have another building committee meeting a week from Monday, so we're meeting every other week at this point. And next I have, update on Code Red implementation. Code Red is the software that the selectmen authorized me to purchase a few weeks ago, which would provide us with the reverse 911 call capability. Linda and I, along with Chief Menser, Chief Alfano, and Lieutenant Nelson, sat through a training session last week. And it's an extremely powerful tool. I mean, it can send email, text, phone calls to whatever predetermined numbers or email accounts people provide us. We're going to be getting a press release out very shortly to let people know that it's here, let people know how to get to the website to make whatever alterations they might like. They might like to be added to a list in some way. They might want to be taken off. They may not want any of these notices. They may only want certain types of notices. Maybe they wouldn't want the local notices, such as, if there's a street paving project coming up, we may try to alert people with some of those. We don't want to inundate them with that, because we don't want to desensitize them. They may only want the emergency alerts, so they have the option to do that, which I think is great. We will do a test run with the town hall folks, because when the governor declares a state of emergency and all municipal buildings are closed, right now Linda does a phone chain in the morning, so what we're going to do is set up a text string of all the people and see if we're using the software correctly there. So good. I was very, very impressed with the software. It's even more powerful than I thought it was.
Yeah.
And lastly, the update on the FY16 budget process. The budget message is going to need to get out probably next week. I have communicated with the chair of the advisory committee, Brad Cody. I sent him a copy of last year's message, which was very close to the year before's message, which was plan for level funding. But if you feel that, if a certain department head feels that they can justify additional spending as with a significant benefit, or something that some need that's not being met currently that they think should be addressed, they have the option of presenting it and trying to justify it to the advisory committee. Brad was fine with that, and the timelines would be very similar to, well, it'd be almost on the exact same timeline as last year. We just haven't had the opportunity to put together the updated message yet with the updated dates, but the message will be the same. I want to get it out before the end of next week, because I think we sent it out somewhere around October 30th last year. So I want to be able to do that. So unless the board has any issues, that's the message that I would like to get out.
No,
I think send it to the school board too.
Be delighted to forward it to our two school committee representatives.
I want to note that we have, next week, the selection committee for advisory is going to be meeting. We're a little late on that, but we also were a little late on getting applicants in, but it looks like we have a number of candidates. So the moderator, the clerk, and I will be meeting next week, and so we should get advisory up to 6 members.
That's great. Good. That's great. Looking forward to that. So it has been a busy stretch, and it's only going to get busier with the budget process. But unless the board has any questions, that's all I have for this evening.
No, great. Next item on our agenda is Board of Selectmen business, and the first item we have is a discussion regarding appointment to the Audit Advisory Committee. And what the Audit Advisory Committee is it's something that the Neshoba Regional School District has, which includes a representative from each town appointed by the Board of Selectmen, and what that committee does is to make recommendations to the school committee for selection of independent outside auditor and oversee the work of the auditor, including review of audit report findings and recommendations. And I guess we sort of had a form of advertisement that we've used in the past. Who was our most recent?
Dave Wiley.
Dave Wiley was.
Oh, and he's no longer interested? Or is he still interested?
No, he is not.
He's not?
He's not.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to use this basically the same.
Yeah, so I can revise this and just send it out and
That's fine.
get it in the paper and...
All right, the next item we have is we've received an invitation to an equal court of honor to honor Varen Nair, who's, and that's this Sunday at the First Parish Church. And we also have in our packet a letter to Varen. The Board of Selectmen would like to congratulate you on your achievement of earning your Eagle and offer you the best wishes for your court of honor. We appreciate your efforts in clearing the Zinc Trail, installing and building 4 bridges and boardwalks, and placing additional trail markers along the trail. All of your hard work not only provides the public with easier and safer access to the trail, but also connects the trail to the larger Bolton Loop trail system for the public to enjoy. And just for folks who don't know, the Zinc Trail is off of Horn Road. So
I'm printing the letter right now, and when we go upstairs, you guys can sign it.
Okay. All right, do we need a motion to?
Please. We send a letter to Jerome on congratulating him to achieving Eagle Scout.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next item on our agenda is a discussion regarding possibly modifying the town policy on animals in town buildings and town vehicles. And this was a policy, I guess, adopted a couple of years ago, and we had an inquiry from the library because they had, I guess, some of their programming would be, there are certain activities, if you can't have sort of cats or whatever in there, it could be limiting, and it seemed to me that we ought to be able to work a little flexibility into the policy. I don't know what other folks think.
That's fine with me.
I think, you know, certainly for education and with approval of the, whoever's running the building in question, I think we should be allowing that. We of course already allow service animals, so it's not a clear, you know, no dogs in the libraries. I mean, we allow service dogs in there, so I think for educational programs, certainly I think that would be a good exception.
So do we want to just add like that last sentence in our current policy where it talks about service animals? We could say, in addition, animals may be permitted for educational purposes with the consent of who?
I actually think it should be me.
Looking at it.
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
that's fine. Fine. You can hold the line against the parrots and
The animal commissioner.
when they come in with the tarantulas, you can say no.
If they have a tarantula in front of me, I'll say anything.
I'll remember that when we're negotiating next.
Do you want to just have Don come up with a...
All right, or maybe that's better. We can,
Yeah.
rather than try and do something on the fly. Yeah, no, why
The
don't
animal
you?
commissioner figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think that's fine.
yeah. All right, well then, okay, we
I think it keeps with what the intention was,
right
you
there.
know,
Right.
people strolling into town hall with,
Yeah.
you know, their pit bulls or whatever to make a point. But, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on, are you interested in any modifications to the animals in the town vehicles, or do you want to keep that the way it is?
I'm not, I don't see it as great. I don't have concerns when,
No, I think for this one particular case, I think it's fine, but I don't think we need to keep making changes to this.
I mean, there haven't been any issues or any, I mean, that hasn't presented been an issue anywhere.
No, no, there have been no animals in any town vehicles since this went into place. No, I'm not trying to make it more strict. I was wondering if
if we wanted to relax that, is
we
what you're
wanted to
saying.
relax it, is what I'm saying, yes.
It,
So this would say basically that the police could not put a dog in the back of a cruiser to take it to a shelter or something?
No, we could,
Or you could if it's in a crate.
you can,
In a pet carrier, so I mean,
Yeah, if it's in a pet carrier,
so I'm not sure what
they
you're
can't
looking,
just,
I'm not sure what you're looking to try to modify.
yeah, I'm not sure what we would,
I mean, if there's a situation where, I guess I can't give you a good example right now. I just didn't know if you wanted to revisit that for any reason
No.
whatsoever.
I mean, I guess if they wanted to try to contain an animal until animal control got there or something. but
Well, the
I'm not
policy
sure.
doesn't, I mean, animals don't have to be graded by the policy now if the animal control officer is in the act of performing their duties, so. Okay.
All right, well,
Yeah, I'm not sure that there's, I'm not sure I see any real
Yeah.
need to change anything else.
Okay.
all right, next item on our agenda is to review minutes. Do we?
We do not.
We don't? Well, you shouldn't even put that on there then.
I know, but we
Make
never
us look
know.
bad.
Oh, I see, it's still circulating.
Yeah.
I'm just a hold up, am I? I've been very busy.
I'm guilty at the moment, so.
Before we go to executive session, I should have just taken a minute to update the entire board that we have the deadline to submit our RFPs for legal counsel was at noon on Wednesday. We have received six proposals, which the law committee will be deciding when they want to meet to review the proposals and decide how many of the six, if not all of them, that you wish to interview.
Okay.
So, wait, we plus two members of the law.
Right.
Correct.
Right, okay. Okay. All right, well then, the next item is to go into executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining for the police and dispatch unions on the basis that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the town of Bolton, and we would not return to open session. We need I guess, a motion on this, and then, roll call.
I'll second that motion.
I move that we move into executive session as previously described.
I'll second that again.
Roll call? Yep.
Yes?
Sprague,
Yes.
Delaney,
Yes.
Wazaki.
Yes.
All right.
Excellent. Ken's just laughing.
Good night.
The rigmarole to go through.
Well, no, Ken's happy. He's
See, he's-
He knows how to do it now.
So that's the